Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Tides of Death. We are here with PotatoMcWhiskey. How are you doing today?
I am doing fantastic, aside from a lack of sleep, but otherwise great.
Yeah, that does happen, doesn't it?
It does happen.
Those little critters running around at 2 a.m., the most exciting time to be awake.
Of course.
So, why don't you introduce us to your character? What is your character's name?
My character is called Saol,
And,
and they are
mhm.
quite devious. They are
Hmm,
a
hmm.
liar and a cheat and a swindler at heart.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, I get that. Totally. So, our first chapter here is going to be this seminal event that sort of puts you on the path to where you are today. You and your older brother arrived in the Dardanelles years ago. How many years ago was it that you arrived in the Dardanelles for the first time?
I would say it was about 2 years ago.
2 years ago. Okay. Okay. How old were you at this point 2 years ago?
Probably I was early 20s, he's kind of mid 20s.
Okay. So
So
early
like
20s.
23, say.
23. Okay. That's nice.
A nice
So,
young man with a twinkle in his eye.
hmm and how is it that you originally came to the Dardanelles? How did you arrive here for the first time?
I think it was mainly my brother's idea. He had sort of a dream to go away, fame and fortune, earn his wage on a boat, and sort of maybe captain his own ship sometime. And I always lived in his shadow, so I was kind of like, I can't let him go be, famous and successful without me. I deserve
Hmm,
that.
let's see. But it all went terribly, terribly wrong, right? What what was the event that made everything go sideways?
I think we were pulling into port, and I think we had like misread our maps, and maybe we pulled into the wrong kind of port, and it was
Hmm.
perhaps more lawless than we had thought it would be. And you know, you get to drinking in the local bar, and next thing you know, you're waking up on your ship with a sword to your throat.
Yeah, that does happen. Um, so you and your brother wake up in port, swords to your throat. I assume that there's some other people on this ship. You've got some other crew here, and the two of you get pulled apart from the rest of the crew. You guys have been identified as the captain and the first mate, even if that's not technically your title here. And the unscrupulous folks who have you have already searched your boat and apparently found nothing, found no valuables whatsoever. Your
Yeah,
brother
they probably would
will
have found grain.
Yeah, your brother explains that, you're in between things right now. You're here with just the grain that you've got. There's no money to be had. And these brigands have a conversation in front of you to each other. And it's somewhat along the lines of, well, what are we going to do with these guys? They've seen us. They know who we are. If we let them go, they'll report us to the White Prince. And if the White Prince hears about this sort of operation, well, certainly we'll have to deal with some of their seekers soon enough, and that's going to be the end of us. I say we cut their heads off and throw them in the ocean. Let them think that pirates did it. Well, they'll never track us here. The tides will pull them away. And this seems to be kind of picking up steam with the rest of the party. They seem content just to kill you guys and throw you in the ocean. How are you going to get out of this?
Yeah, I kind of interject. I'm like, wait. There's no need to kill anybody, guys. Listen, I can get you a ransom. Me and my brother, we're actually kind of like minor lords back in our town, and we're kind of scions. We ran away. You know how it is, shadow of the father. We had to make our own way in the world. But look, if you get me back to Redport or back over to Arcadia, I could get a boat over here with a bit of cash, and you could set me and my brother for. I don't care what you do with the crew, kill the crew, whatever. But my brother and I can get you some gold if you let us live.
How much gold? do you think your brother would call for ransom?
Ooh, oh, I don't know. That's a tough one. I'd say, what's like a, what would be like a decent amount of gold? Like the sort of money that would, someone would be like, okay, I'm gonna buy a farm and retire and
Yeah,
like
so
live out my days.
very generally, a direct comparison is not possible, but very generally, one gold piece is about $100 or 100 euros, whatever. So 1,000 gold is like 100,000 bucks, which is not a bad ransom for a minor noble. Couple thousand gold, couple $100,000. That's pretty decent ransom for a mid-class to high-class noble, you know. 10,000 gold would be about $1 million, and that would be a very hefty ransom.
So I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, how much gold do I quote? It's like, I don't want to go too low because they might just think we're not worth it. So I say, I could probably get you like 1,000 gold, maybe a bit more, just in and around there.
Really?
What do you got?
1,000 gold for your brother, huh? What sort of nobles are you?
Well, we own a bit of land and we have a lot of money. We're into banking and stuff like that.
Arcadia is a pretty great distance from here. You sure you're not going to get a cold feet? Turn around, leave your brother here to rot? Leave us here to feed him?
I put my hand on my chest and I'm like, you dare question that I wouldn't come back for my dear brother, the brother I have grown with and known my entire life?
Give me
I'm
a
offended.
charisma check.
Okay, charisma is 11.
Yeah, you can click the big purple CHR button, or you can roll d20 plus 11, whichever you choose.
That's perfect.
That is a very good
no.
roll. That is a very good roll. Here's the dice page. 30. Yeah. You want a 21 or higher for success. So a 30 is an absolute baller of a success. They believe you. They think you are 100%. They see sincerity in your eyes when you talk about bringing back your brother, being nobles that are involved in banking. And bankers, you got to trust them at their word. Their word's the only thing that they've got going for them. A banker who lies is a banker who's quickly out of business. Child of a banker out here selling some grain. It all seems to be adding up to them. So they tell you that they will accept the ransom for your brother. If you can, the trip from here to Arcadia, roughly like a month and a half. If you can be back in 3 months with the money, they'll ransom him at 1,000 gold. If it takes more than 3 months but less than 6 months, it goes up 50%, and then it goes up another 50% for every 6 months after that you take. Or you'll come back and he'll be dead, depending on what. So you want your brother alive, you stay in touch, you get back as quickly as possible with that money, and we'll keep him here for you. If any of this gets out to the White Prince, if we hear the White Prince's men are coming and looking for him, if they suspect anything, if there's even a whiff of suspicion, we're going to chop him into little pieces and throw him in the ocean. You had better take extra efforts to protect us while you're away, and you had better hope that no one comes looking for anyone else that we think might be looking for your brother. Otherwise, we're going to chop him up into little pieces and throw him into the ocean.
Little pieces, I got it,
Little pieces.
Save me a piece if I'm late.
Look at this guy. Look at this gallows humor. This is almost good enough to join us. Okay, all right. We'll keep an eye on him. You better come back lickety-split. They will take you down to the harbor. They've already confiscated the stuff on your boat. You can see that your crew has been dragged off to a jail cell. Someone else is given charge of your boat, one of the minions of the people who've captured you. You haven't even gotten their names yet. You've got descriptions of their faces. It's 2 men and 3 women. You could probably pick them out of a crowd, but you don't know their names. They give one of their people, roll me a d5. real quick. Yeah, one of the women, the youngest of them, a brunette whose name you will get because she's going to sail with you back towards Arcadia. She'll drop you off on a different island that will take you towards Redport. Her name is Nina. And she will take you to a different town here in the Dardanelles that has a ship that will take you back to Arcadia, where you can go to Redport and get the money and come on back. And you will have a short little while, maybe about a week on this boat with Nina and some of her other crew members who you don't really get to know at all. So, what do you say to Nina? How do you behave for this first week when you're still in view of the people who have captured you and your brother?
I think I'm trying to be very, subservient and thankful for their kindness of, being generous enough to accept the ransom and not just outright kill us. And so I'm trying to be sort of agreeable and amenable and stuff like that. But I'm also sort of trying to figure out who they are, like, and what they're up to, and
Yeah.
maybe if they talk about, like, if they have an enemy or something like that.
Why don't you give me another charisma check, please? Let's see how well you get along with Nina. How the two of you hit it off. 22. Very nice. So, you and Nina actually get along. Despite kidnapping your brother, she's kind of a likable woman. She's got a clear mind of what she wants in life. She goes after it. She's able to run a ship pretty well, and she is quite the fighter. During your week together, she arms you with a rapier and practice with you. She gets bored on the boat. Most of the time you're just sailing. You got the guy at the helm and you're just chilling, waiting for land to show up. So she will spar back and forth with you. And I think this is where you first learn some sort of sword fighting, is with Nina here.
Yep.
Tell me, are you eager to learn this sort of thing, or are you just playing along because she's asking you to play along? How does your...
I'm sort of curious, but it kind of is kind of above me. I'm more about, like, sort of manipulation, but I'm enjoying it because it's kind of passing the time.
Okay. Will you give me an intelligence check to see how quickly you pick up sword fighting? 25. Very nice. So, despite this not being what you wanted to be out here doing, you managed to pick up the back and forth pretty well. Maybe it's because you and Nina actually get along very well, that you can read what her body is about to do, she can read what you're thinking, and the back and forth sparring is nice. I mean, she's clearly outclassing you. She's like a level 5 fighter or something. She could easily kick your ass if she wanted, but it comes along a lot more nicely and a lot more appreciably skillfully than anyone would have expected. After a week and a half aboard the boat, you are being let off on a dock that will head, back to another ship that'll head back to Redport. And she gives you a rapier, which is not a cheap thing. That's like a 40 gold item that she's just handing you right now with a, it's a show of, how would you say? Camaraderie, yeah. Camaraderie and something, like, there's something going on here. There's almost, I wouldn't call it quite like a crush or a romance, but there is a connection between you and your captor, which is more than friendly. It's almost like a mutual respect or a mutual, desire to see the other person do well. Camaraderie is a pretty good word here. And so she will gift you a rapier.
Brilliant.
That's
awesome. I like Nina.
Tell me, what would you have said to her or left her with when you guys departed after she gifts you a rapier?
I would have said, this is too much. I can't take this. I can't possibly take a rapier. You know, I don't know what to say. I didn't expect a gift. This is incredible. Thank you so much.
Add it to the total of gold that you owe us. Make it 1,040. We'll call it even. You're gonna need.
I'm like,
go ahead.
I'm like bowing and scraping. It's like, yes, absolutely, absolutely. I'll make sure to add it to the total.
And just make sure you live long enough to get us our gold. Don't forget, we still have your brother's life in our hands. And while I would hate to see his blood, your kin's blood, be shed, we'll have our money one way or another, even if we have to get it out of him ourselves. And she checks your eyes to make sure she's made an impression upon you.
Like, I do my best impression of being sort of like a bit, you know, taken aback, and okay, I wasn't expecting this fury. We were getting along so well, you know.
All right. Yeah, with that, she'll leave you on the dock to make your way back home to Arcadia. And how does your journey home go? Is it straightforward or is it messy? You can just decide this one on your own.
I'd say it's like fairly straightforward. I run into a few people. I run my mouth, etc. But nothing remarkable happens on the journey home.
Great. So eventually, you'll make it home, back to your home of Rockwave. I think you land in Redport and then hike along the road for a few miles back to Rockwave. When you get home, your family is here. Waiting for you guys, not ever really knowing when you get back, because of course back in the day of sailors, they just arrive when they arrive. They might be gone for a month, or maybe they're gone for 10 years, but one day they come home. They're excited to see you, and they quickly notice your brother is not here, and you arrived by road when you left by boat. Where's Bale?
Well, look, he got himself captured, and I tried to free him, but I couldn't beat them, and they ended up capturing me too, and they want a ransom for him. And I told them that, look, I'm the less important brother. I'll go back and see if I can get the money for them.
Tell me about your family. What social class are they from? Are they peasants, servants, merchants, nobles?
Oh, they're actually like dirt poor.
Dirt poor peasants. Your father looks at you. Saol, did you leave your brother in the hands of people who captured him?
Well, they were gonna kill us, so I did what I had to survive. You know what it's like.
I don't know what it's like throwing away my brother's life to save my own. And no son of mine will ever know what that's like. And your father will take a just a little pitchfork that he's been shoveling shit with and tosses it over towards you and grabs a hoe from nearby and spins it around and sort of like stands off with you and begins to tell you the story of when he was a very young man. There was this incursion of Grell into the Hemdorkos Hills to the north. This is a famous historical event in the area a couple generations back called the Hemdorkos Incursion, and the kingdom had to unite against this like sudden outpouring of Grell, these evil, weird like creatures with giant brains that have beaks and tentacles. Let me just show you a picture, because Grell are kind of cool looking. I mean, they're totally cheesy and dumb, but they're also terrifying and awesome. And they're like, 10th level psychic space alien looking monstery thingies that showed up.
Oh god.
And your dad tells you about
horrifying.
the time that he was pulled into the army to go fight Grell, and how he learned camaraderie and brotherhood and honor and friendship, and also how to fight with a spear. And he, even though he doesn't have a spear, will start to wail on you with the blunt end of the hoe while you try and defend yourself with the pitchfork, as sort of like a punishment for leaving your brother behind, and also a I'm going to teach you how to use a spear so you can go find your brother and bring him back home, because you're not going to abandon your brother. Where is he?
Of course.
Saol, where'd you leave him? Your father asks.
I don't know. I don't remember the name of the town. I think it was called like something or other. It was in the island.
Something or other? He whacks at you again with his stick. You left your brother in something or other port? How are you ever gonna find him, Saol?
I didn't really think that far, Father. You know me. I'm good at getting out of things. I'm not good at fixing things.
This is not necessarily well reserved. I think your father, in a burst of anger, will really start trying to crack you over the head with this. But he's a bit older than you, and he was only like a soldier for a couple of years, like 40 years ago, so his spearmanship is not that great. He knows enough to teach you the basics, which will be done over the next couple years. And I think this is where we take our first break. We'll come back.
Yep.
And when we do, we will talk about what it is that gets you to change your mind and go out searching for your brother, and how you first set off on your journey. But we will do that on the other side of our break. So see you guys in a few minutes. Bye-bye. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Tides of Death. So a couple years pass. You're here at home. Your dad tried to do his best to teach you to fight with a spear, but life comes up. Life gets in the way. Complications happen. The first complication is this terrible, terrible event that happens not long after you get back. Eridon, the kingdom you're a part of, quickly falls apart. You guys are in a safe region, so you're not too terribly impacted, except for the fact that your dear papa, your kid brother, and your sister went on a trip. They went to go visit your aunt and your uncle over in Anvil, the next town over. It's over the rock ridge near the firewood. It's a cute, quaint little town. They had to go by boat because you don't really want to cross the rock ridge. There's too many hobgoblins over there. There's some ogres and the mountain giants. And of course, the rock, not like the rock actually ever kills anything, but there's some monsters. So they take a boat over to Anvil. And then they don't come back on time. But as we discussed earlier, ships, they come, they go, they take time. You never know. There's no telephones. There's no telegraphs. Information arrives when the boat arrives. And when information does arrive from Anvil, it's that Anvil's been destroyed, that there are monsters swarming over Anvil, that these demonic creatures from another plane are just crushing the hillsides. And the next couple years, the next 6 months really, are sort of a nightmare of soldiers being marshaled, of all of the peasants being called to work overtime, to not just only do the work that they've been assigned in the fields, but also to put in extra time and labor reinforcing the defenses of this area. Your father, your sister, your little brother are all still missing. It's just you and your mom now. And that training you were doing with your dad didn't get too far before all of this happened. And a few months down the line, you and your mother and everyone else gives up any hope of survivors of Anvil. You guys learn that the southern half of Eridon has been overrun by these outer planar demons that appeared out of nowhere and just destroyed everything. It's very clear that the world has changed. And your mother, lovely woman that she is growing a little bit desperate. 3 out of 4 of her children are lost and presumed dead. Her husband is lost and presumed dead, and the 2 of you don't have the manpower to work the amount of field that is assigned to your family. And so the amount of land that you guys own, that you get to work and do with as you please, gets cut and cut and cut. until there's not enough for the two of you to support yourselves. So, in these dark times, when demons are sacking cities nearby, what is it that Saol is doing with his time while all of this downfall is happening?
He's probably looking for a way to get out of this place. He's like, all right, what do I do? Can I sign up with a group? Can I join someone? Can I like get a job in, some other place? He's trying to figure out a way to get him and his mother basically out of the firing line of this demonic horde.
Okay. Yeah. So, who is it that can help you with this to get out of the firing line? Do you have any ideas off the top of your head about who you might be able to go to help you with this problem?
Probably the family, I guess. I would like maybe travel. I know we have family like in one of the nearby towns. Like, I'd probably go and see if like I could get an apprenticeship or something and get enough money to send my mother away.
Yeah, make me a charisma check and we'll see how this goes. Terribly. Absolutely terribly. You head to the next town over. Whoops, chat can't see the rules. Here we go. You head to the next town over, the capital of this county over here, Clydesdale. And you've got some family in Clydesdale that work as servants for the count who lives there. But they don't like your attitude. Your family that are servants here get you like an interview with the head butler. And you talk to the head butler, and your aunt over here talks to the head butler. But your conversation with him does not go well at all. He can see that you're just like a sniveling, sniving cheat of a person who will say whatever it takes to give whatever you want, or at least that's his opinion of you. And he looks down his nose at you and shakes his head and says, "Young man, dishonesty will get you nowhere in life. You should know your position. You were born a peasant. You will live your whole life as a peasant, and you will die a peasant if you're lucky. You should not seek to rise so far above your station, especially with an attitude like that. You will never make anything of yourself in life." He decries and berates you. However, your mother seems a good woman who has worked her whole life, raised 3 good children, and your aunt speaks very highly of her. I think we can find room for her here as a washerwoman in the castle. But we will never take you. How do you feel about that?
I kind of dropped to my knees and I'm sniveling and I'm groveling. I'm like, but please, I need some sort of job. How will I live? I've tried so hard and I've suffered so much. And is it a crime to dream to have a better life?
He considers you again. Give me another charisma check for how well you can grovel.
Oh, yes.
Well, you get rather quickly that this head butler, he likes the position of power. He likes being able to hold other people's fates in his life. He's used to being like, the lowest person in the room of nobles. So when he gets to be the highest person in a room of peasants and servants, he relishes the glory. And you find a way to like play at that, to like talk him up, to feed his ego. And after you grovel and, say the things that he wants to hear, he graciously gives you a job as a water carrier. Because that water ain't gonna bring itself up the castle steps. Someone's got to get it from the well and haul it bucket by bucket up to the top level of the castle, where you can then throw it in the bath. And do you know how many bucket loads it takes to fill a bathtub? A lot. they need young, strong men to just haul shit for them all the time. And so the two of you can move to Clydesdale. Your job as
awesome.
a bucket carrier kind of sucks.
Yeah, I'm not loving it. I'm not a
Yeah.
happy camper.
Yeah. Your mom gets a pretty decent position washing, something that she's done already. You know, she also worked the fields. She did all sorts of things. This is in her wheelhouse, and at least now she gets to hang out with her sister, who's also a washerwoman. So the two of them get along pretty well. One night, after a long day, your mom's had a few glasses of cheap wine that's been watered down. You hear her sobbing to her sister about Bale. Poor Bale. Still alive, probably somewhere far away, maybe enslaved, maybe, used for labor. Poor Bale is out there. How am I supposed to ever have my family back if my son, my firstborn son, is missing? And I think she catches you listening at the door, or maybe the door is like open and you're just walking by, and she'll call you in, and with your aunt and like the other ladies of the house there all watching, your drunken mom gets down on her hands and knees and begs you to find your brother, begs you to save him from whatever hell he's in. She crawls up and like kisses your feet, asking you, please, Saol, your brother, you can't leave him out there. He needs to come home. The rest of our family is dead and gone. We don't know how much time we have left in this world. Saol, you have to bring him home. And how does that sit with you? Or what do you say to that?
I stand there in sort of silent shock for a bit, because my mother is like my one weakness. You know, she's always looked after me. She's always sort of, told me I'm special and made me feel good about myself, and sort of fed this sort of narcissistic ego that I have. And it's very hard to say no to her.
Mm-hmm.
And
you're such a good boy, Saol. I know you'll bring him back. You would never disappoint me. You're so capable. You're so strong. You're so smart. I know you can do it, Saol. I know you can save him.
So I remember that I'm also being watched. So I'm like, all right, I gotta play it up. I'll figure something out. So I crouch down and I hug my mother, and I make a promise that I'll find my brother, even if my heart's not really in it. Like, I'll just say, I promise you, Mom, I'll find her. I'll get him back.
But how? We don't have any money. You said they wanted a ransom, and we're broke.
It's like, I'll find a way. Don't worry about it. We'll figure something out, and I'll come up with a plan. Just give me a couple of days, and I'll come up with a plan.
Okay. So, committing at least to your mother and to yourself somewhat to find your brother, it's time to formulate a plan. And in the same breath, we also need to figure out how you learned these skills that you've got. For example, anatomy and first aid and healing. Where did you learn these skills? Are these skills you've learned yet, even?
I think I would have maybe sort of done my best to see if I could get some forged credentials from the castle and signed up to some sort of healer school or medical school or something like that, as a sort of step up out of the washer thing. And
Out of
that's
the
kind
washer
part of
thing.
the plan. Yeah, I need to, or out of the water carrier. It's like as a way to make a bit of money, to get a boat or a crew from Redport and go save my brother.
Well, the local undertaker has need of an assistant. It's a pretty good job. It gets you out of having to haul water up and down the stairs, which has been, great for you health-wise. You've got 15 strength and 16 con, and it's not just the farming, it's that hauling water all day, every day is, builds up those core muscles, builds up that stamina. And the local mortician, he needs someone to help him prepare the dead, because there's a lot of dead coming in from the various demons about and all the normal causes. So you can get an apprenticeship with the local mortician. I think that's how you can learn your anatomy, because you will, when you prepare a body, you know which organs to take out. You understand, how to arrange the insides, what things to put in a body to reduce the decay or to pump up the smell. You learn which organs are which, where to make incisions on people, where the major arteries are. You see all sorts of injuries coming back from the front lines of demon fights over the hills. You'll learn major carotid, femoral arteries, the weak spots between the ribs where the lungs are easily accessible. And shortly thereafter, you get loaned out by your mortician master. I don't know what the term for the head mortician is, but you get loaned out as part of a what do they call them? You get loaned out to the barber with the military. Now, back in the olden days, before surgery was ever really a known field, barbers were the surgeons, which is, a bit strange to us modern folk. We think of barbers as like scissors with the hair, but it's also people that are good with the knife. They would do all the not decapitations, all the what is it when you lose an arm?
The word.
It's the word for losing a limb. It's not castration. It's amputation. They do all the amputating, all the minor patchings and injuries, all the sewings up of whatnot. And it's on the front lines near Rock Ridge and Hillsborough where you see demons fighting people, and you treat burns, you treat cuts and stabs mostly. And you can use the anatomy training that you had from the mortician to surprisingly excel in this area. Would you give me a anatomy, first aid, and healing check? Just roll all three of them, and we'll see how well you excel. I might have spoken too soon, actually. Never mind. It's another natural 20. And another... Wow. All right, so you do very, very well here on the front lines. You're still a young man. You're still like working as an assistant to the head barber. But by the end of 6 months of service on the front lines, when the demons seem to just be fading away and disappearing from view, not that many of them have been slain, not that they've been like stopped, but they've gone north in the direction of heat stroke, and they just kind of stop coming out of the Hourglass Desert. By the end of this period, you are a resourceful barber, healer, butcher. You've treated a lot of wounds. You've seen a lot of the injured, and you've carried a lot of water. So how do you learn swimming and seamanship? Those are two skills. The omen reading we'll get to later. I've got an idea for that. But where do you learn to swim, Saol?
I think the seamanship I learned on the boat with Nina. I think we could say that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she would have definitely taught you a little bit during that week, and then you could have followed up with the rest of the month back to Arcadia on whatever ship you were. You could have picked up a little bit from them, certainly.
Yeah.
Continue.
And then for swimming, I think it was just something I learned as I grew up. It was kind of the water is dangerous. One of my second or third cousins drowned or something, and everyone was like, you all need to learn how to swim because family tragedy is not happening again.
Yeah, there's a certain number of people who are self-taught swimmers that it wasn't a big important thing. For most people of this time, swimming is a skill they don't have. They don't have pools, they don't have lifeguards, they don't have like swim instructors, so most people don't know how to swim. Some people are specifically taught it or seek out the skill, and some people, kind of like you live by the water, you play in the water, you get concerned about drowning or being swept out to sea, so you put a little bit of effort and it just kind of comes naturally to you, and you pick it up just by the way you do things. You think you need to learn it, and you do it.
Foraging for sea urchins and whatever food might need to be put on the table that week.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so we get swimming, we get seamanship. You learn healing and anatomy and first aid, And these, did we say it was 2 years between when you lost your brother and when you can find him again, or set off to find him again? Right?
Yeah, I'd say roughly 2 years.
Great. So 2 years later, the monsters have stopped showing up. The demons seem to have faded away. You get called back to doing your mortician work, and life begins to slow down again. You stop learning new and interesting things. You're doing these boring routine tasks that you've done 1,000 times before, where you pull out the liver and then you weigh the liver and then you stuff the body with potpourri or whatever it is that you stuff it with. And then you put on the suit and the tie and you straighten it up and you put him in the box and you wait for the ceremonies to be done and you haul the box here and you do all the dirty bitch work, and your hands smell like the dead. Your fingernails are permanently caked in like the juices of bodies, and you're not really making much money anymore. And your mother is her depression grows deeper. She's lost everyone. You've been gone to the front lines this whole time. When you do finally get a chance to see her, she seems distant, she's got that distant days of someone who is a perpetual alcoholic, or someone who's like perpetually numbing themselves with substances because reality is just too harsh and painful. That sort of almost checked out view that they've got about themselves. Still functional, still operational, but just not 100%.
Yeah, they're not quite there anymore.
Yeah. And you can see the stress and toll of all of these things, how it's taken on your mother, losing your family lands, losing her husband, her 3 of her 4 children. Is this when you decide it's time to amend things? Are you interested in amending things? Or are you just trying to pacify your mother? Do you even really care what she thinks?
I do care about my mother. She's my weakness, and I've kind of been formulating a plan to maybe try to steal some money or something from the castle, or acquire just enough money to get me on a boat to actually do it, because it's the one thing that could motivate me, aside from my own ego, just wanting to be rich and powerful and skilled.
You think you might resort to thievery to get it done?
I think it would be more like a manipulation. So for example, it might be, someone has to go to XYZ to pick up these goods, and I'll be like, I'll go. You know me, you guys have known me for years, and then I just take the money and run.
Right.
Or maybe I stage my own death. That would be a fun one.
You stage your own death. How do you profit off of that? How does that help you? I like the idea, but where does it go?
It's to protect my mother, because if I just run off with the money, she would be held accountable for it. So I'm like, I pay off a couple of bandits to, I find a body that looks a lot like me in my work as a funerary thing, and I pay a couple of thugs to kill me and make off with whatever's left of the money for whatever the task I was supposed to be doing was.
Excellent. So your head mortician, we've mentioned that you like stuff the body with something that smells nice in order to slow down the rot, in order to preserve it enough for viewership. Most people, when they have their bodies prepared, don't really get this sort of treatment. It's a fancier treatment, the fanciest of which requires certain oils and spices, which your mortician keeps under lock and key because they're quite expensive. And they charge a lot to the fancy nobles who use this stuff. But every so often you run out, and it's the apprentice's job to go pick up supplies. And that is when you get a nice fat wad of 100 gold coins to go buy these materials from the market in town. Because the vendor who brings these things only comes every once in a while. And so they're here in town today. And you go off to grab this stuff. But of course, you use the body that you've got that looks sort of like you, mixed with these brigands, these thieves. How much do you pay them of the 100 gold that you have? How greedy are you?
I would offer them 20 gold each.
That would cut deeply into your 100 GP profits, wouldn't it?
It would, but you gotta make sure that you gotta pay for a little bit of loyalty. And 60 gold could get me pretty far, like out into the ocean.
Okay, well, why don't you give me a charisma check for how your negotiations for this project goes with your thief friends, your thug friends. It goes well. They stage a nice beating. They steal the body from the mortuary. They mix it where yours was, and sure enough, people buy it, that you were beaten and killed for your money. And is this when you set off?
Oh, I forgot to say, I don't tell my mother about this.
Yeah.
But I do. She's an alcoholic. Those loose lips. But yeah, I set off then.
Okay, so your mother thinks all her children are dead now.
Yes.
Or, maybe Bale's alive somewhere, but clearly she thinks Saol is dead.
Yeah.
Terrible.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
You gotta do what you gotta do. Okay. Now I'm gonna have you roll me a... Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Tides of Death. Sorry about that. Stream bopped in and out for a moment. Your luck roll. Everything goes well. You manage to hide the wounds on the body, so that it looks like they're the same wounds that killed you. You managed to hide the body. Not hide the body. You managed to convince the undertaker that the funeral had already happened for the person whose corpse you're using to be your own. No one suspects a thing as you slip away with your 60 gold and make it to the docks in Redport, where you hop aboard a ship captained by some guy named Winters and set sail for the Dardanelles.
Awesome.
That's when your ship sinks and you drown.
No.
And you die, essentially. It is a terrible storm in which your ships sink. Your whole group is out there in the middle of this terrible storm that just pitches your ship back and forth. And you get the impression, despite Captain John Williams seeming like a guy who's got his shit together, like he's a smooth talker, he made you believe that he would be a great guy, you get the impression that this is the first time this crew has ever really sailed this ship. And like 4 weeks into your voyage, you have no idea. You're in the middle of the ocean, you get caught by this terrible storm, the ship gets tossed, the mast breaks, the whole thing splits apart, and it was a brand new, beautiful boat, but the whole thing sinks. And you fall. You dip deep into the ocean. And, well, you die. You can feel the water fill your lungs as the sky above you vanishes. Everything gets nice and dark. And you lose consciousness. Only to regain it. Deep underwater. All is dark. You cannot see the light of the sky. You can just sort of feel the bubbles around you, feel the water, your hair kind of like floating around. There's that sensation of being sort of weightless and having all of your hair stand on end and flutter around you, when a pair of eyes appear in the darkness. They're sort of that dull, tawny, sandy color, or the color of a sandy beach. Sand comes in a lot of colors, but that sort of like yellowish sand that you've got everywhere.
Sort of a pale amber almost.
Yeah, that's a really good description of it. Your lungs are presently filled with water. You should be dead. You should not be able to breathe, and yet you are managing to stay here somehow. And you certainly can't talk like you normally would, but there are these eyes before you, and you feel a sense of communication with you and these eyes. What do you do?
I try to speak. I say, am I dead?
Yes, comes the voice. You are dead.
And who are you? Why can I still do things if I'm dead?
I am Rohi. And I am going to save your life.
Brilliant. I'm all aboard. Finally, I can talk to an equal. How's it going? Why are you saving me? What, is there a price for this being saved?
Yes, there is a price.
Are you... Can we haggle? Like, maybe well, no, I'm not okay being dead, but can we haggle? Like, what is the thing that I have to do for you? Or do I have to do anything for you?
I need an agent in the waters above. I need someone to enact my will. And you need help to rescue your brother.
That is true. I do need to do that. How are we going to do that? Exactly? Do you have powers? Can you give me powers? Am I going to be a god?
A hand comes out of the darkness, almost as if there's like a boundary to at which point you can see it. And this hand reaches out towards you, but instead of being like a proper hand with 5 fingers that has like, 3 joints each, this hand is more, it's kind of still got the human hand shape, but instead of like the jointed fingers, each finger is like a short little tentacle of its own making. Instead of having like 5 or 4 fingers and a thumb, this has like 8-ish tentacles that come out almost in a full circle. Not quite, as if like there's an extra finger here, here, and here, or 2 on this side and 1 on this side. So maybe like 6 fingers and 2 thumbs, but they're all sort of like tentacly or octopus-like instead. And it reaches out for your hand.
I sort of tentatively like reach out my hand and I touch one of his tentacles and like just kind of gently grab it.
Yeah, they curl around yours as well. And the 2 of you end up gripping each other. Rohi says to you, you will do what I need, and in exchange, I will grant you near limitless powers. These you can use for whatever purpose you wish. If you wish to enrich yourself, you may do so. If you wish to conquer others, so be it. But in exchange, I need things from you. The first oath you must swear to me is to disrupt the White Prince's activities anywhere and everywhere you can. If you see his agents, you are to make their life difficult or to destroy them. The White Prince must be stopped in his endless ambition, or the whole of our area will fall to him.
You know what? Never liked the White Prince. I'm in. I accept the first oath.
The second oath is to never reveal who I am to anyone. You can tell people anything you want about yourself. You can tell people anything you want about where you derive your magic. Anything but the truth. Do not share my name with anyone. Do not share my form with anyone. Do not tell anyone how you came across me.
I hesitate a little bit. But I think I feel like this is the kind of thing that I can't like lie and cheat my way out of. So I'm kind of hesitating a bit, and I say, okay, that's really tough, but you drive a hard bargain, but I accept your second oath.
My name is Rohi, and when you cast your spells, you must call to me, and I will channel them unto you. Most spells will require a symbol of my being, and the tentacles reach out and grab the sand at your feet and like kind of raise it above you and just let it slowly filter down through the water. The sand is my symbol. My name is Rohi. You must call me to cast your spells. You must have my components, my symbol, to cast them as well. Every time you use my name, you call my attention to the moment, and I will be able to see what you see, hear what you hear. When you fight agents of the White Prince, when you attempt to disrupt their activities, call to me. Let me see what you do. If you fail to interpose yourself in their way, I will drown you. Wherever you go in the surface world, I will be able to fill your lungs with water and drown you on the spot. So you must call to me, so I can see the progress you make, so I can see the way you disrupt the White Prince.
I have a couple of clarifying questions. How do I call to you? Do I verbally? Won't that reveal your name?
Do not call to me in the presence of those who might hear you.
You're making this really difficult.
Do you want near limitless powers? Do you wish for a second chance at life? Do you wish to find your brother where he is held and return him to your mother's embrace?
I mean, yeah, but man, that's a really hard restriction. What if, like, it's a really bad idea to mess with the White Prince's people? Well, I guess you don't really give me a choice, because I'm just going to die if I say no, so I'm in.
I don't expect you to throw your life away needlessly. You are my agent. I expect you to perform well. Sometimes discretion is the better part of valor. Sometimes you must plant seeds that will grow later. Do not be hasty, but do undermine the White Prince at every twist and turn. Destroy his organization from within. If you slay the White Prince, another will simply rise to take his place. It is his grip on the Dardennes that must be broken, and you do that from within, from causing the Empire to crumble. Seek to destroy it wherever possible. From time to time... Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, you weren't finished. Go ahead.
From time to time, I will call to you. You will know that I have called to you, for you will see the writings in the sand, the messages for your eyes only, and I will direct you to some specific place, some specific task that needs to be done. If you serve me well, if you are loyal and faithful and accomplish your tasks, I will direct you to your brother, who still lives.
Could you also, like, send a message to my mom and tell her I'm not dead? But otherwise, like, I just like start cracking my knuckles, like stretching out. I'm like, I'm ready to take down an empire. I mean, I want to be the God King.
You will need friends. You will need allies. The tasks before you are too great to do on your own. I will find companions for you. You will wash up on shore with them. Do you understand?
Yeah, kill an empire, destroy the world, hail your name, and make friends on a beach. Got it.
And what happens when someone asks where you get your magic from? What will you tell them?
I will lie so hard and so fast, and I will say that I get my power from whatever the local deity is.
What will you tell your friends who you travel with? They will certainly hear lie after lie and know you speak false. What when they ask you directly will you tell them?
I will tell them that I am the true heir of this land to rule it, and that I wield the power of the true God that rules this land, who cannot be named.
The eyes close and blink in satisfaction at this answer. What is my symbol? The creature before you asks again.
I reach down, like, grab a hunk of sand and like let it fall out of my hand, and I'm like, the sand of the sea.
Perfect. And with that, you find yourself floating upward. This bizarre tentacle-handed creature with, bright shining eyes at the bottom of the ocean lifts you up and vanishes beneath you. You will have access to that spell list that I linked you earlier. At first level, you can cast 3 spells, I believe it is. Yeah, and you've already got your spells here, right? 3, 4, 5, 6. You just pick the 6 spells that you like the most, it looks like.
I was just kind of playing around with them. They're not
cool.
Finalized.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think there's 18 first level spells, which I know is a lot, but I think they're pretty specific.
Did you say I get 6 of them?
No, you can cast all of them. There were just 6 on your character sheet that I was looking at.
Gotcha. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I misheard you. Yeah.
No worries.
Yeah. I'll get them all in there and pick the ones I think are most.
Yeah. As your leisure. Is there anything else you would like to know or ask of this creature before it disappears entirely from you? You've got room for like one more final question.
I basically asked, like, will I be bound to you forever, even if I finish my goal?
That's a really good question. When the Empire of the White Prince is no more, I will have no more use for you.
Kind of taken aback at that answer. Not sure I liked that one.
Yeah. And that's about it.
That's it, yeah.
You drift upwards and you will lose consciousness once more. Before washing up on some beach somewhere. And this is going to kind of push us up against the very first session. But you will be, I believe, the first person to wake up on this long beach on a nice day. There's still storm clouds above you. But the waters are calmer. There's still, there's waves lapping, but it's not stormy or nasty, just dark clouds overhead. You can see the wreckage of a boat washed up on shore, as well as 3 other men nearby, unconscious, but all sort of like clustered, improbably clustered on the same segment of beach as you. You will recognize 2 of them. One of them is Captain John Winters, the guy who you gave all of your money to, who put you on the boat that came out here, promised you a smooth voyage, that it was going to be the best time. This is the strongest ship in the fleet. It's totally great. We got the best sailors. You're going to have a wonderful voyage. Don't worry about it. We'll get you there, no problem. And then, like, everything sank and everyone died, basically. And his first mate slash assistant, a man named Archie. And then you'll recognize another person washed up on the shore as one of the other passengers on a boat who you didn't really get to know. Some dude, just some fucking passenger. Yeah.
Like, I saw them get onto the boat, and I was like, all right, so that guy's on with me.
Yeah, but, there were a bunch of passengers on the ship, and this was some other dude who you didn't really spend much time talking to, so... Yeah. And I guess that is where we can roughly end here. Is there any other bits of your backstory that you wanted to get into that we didn't quite cover? Anything else that you think would be interesting to talk about? Oh, yeah, you learn omen reading. Like, when you wake up, you feel like you understand how this works, as if it was imparted to you divinely or through some dark magic or something. The idea of being able to... How do you want to read omens? There's a lot of different ways. It can be entrails, it can be tea leaves and tea. What is your method of divination?
That is a good question. I think it would be good to have like an omen that fits the theme. So maybe something to do with sand and water or the sky.
What about tide pools? Sprinkling sand in a still tide pool and watching which way the sand fluctuates as it goes from the top to the bottom.
Yeah, I like that one. That's a good one. They're kind of very, very thematic. I think that one fits perfectly.
Okay. So this will have the strength in that tide pools can be found pretty much anywhere, but a weakness that anywhere means along a coastline at the right tide levels. But it's free. There's no components. You don't need to like hunt a bird and kill it and rip it open while it's still living. You don't need like expensive tea leaves properly brewed. You just need a natural setting in order to do your divination. So while these other people are still unconscious but alive on the seashore, let's try some omen reading. You realize you have this power, this ability. How would you like to omen read? What would you like to look into?
I will look into whether or not this day holds danger for me.
Okay. So to use this proficiency, the Omen Reader phrases a general question about a course of action, such as, is this a good day to start our journey? Should we try to track the orcs to their lair or wait for the next raid? When will the dragon return? I think, will this day be dangerous to me is right in that same area. I then make a proficiency check in secret. If it fails, I can tell you the signs were inconclusive or make up a false answer for a spectacular failure. If the Omen Reader succeeds, I will give you the character a vague answer based on my assessment of the situation. So your Omen Reading check is a 14. I will roll it in secret. So you never know if this is an accurate reading or you rolled a natural one and if you got wrecked. Okay. An omen is usually good, bad, or inconclusive, although an answer of a day or two or proceed but with caution is acceptable as well. Omens aren't guaranteed. If a party ignores a bad omen, they might succeed on their task anyway. So you get an ill omen, like really bad. You sprinkle the sand into the relatively still pool of the tide here, of the tide pool, and immediately the sand like washes to the side, and there's like a little sea anemone, and half the sand like washes away from the sea anemone onto like the other side of the tide pool, and the other half washes directly into the sea anemone and like mixes in amongst itself, and the sea anemone pulls in, trying to like clean itself of all of the sand that washed against it. And this to you is a really bad sign, as if your life or your entire your life or your liberty or your property, not that you own anything at this moment, might be taken away from you this very day. Something is coming for you. Something is coming to take you away.
Oh boy, that's not great. That's the opposite of what I was hoping for.
Yeah. I guess your next actions after this will be at the very start of our campaign at session 1 then. So, this has been Saol's backstory. Very well done.
I wasn't too flippant with Rohi. I was trying to stay in character.
Would it be a bad thing if you were flippant with this strange otherworldly thing?
I think it fits my character. Maybe I might have annoyed him a little bit.
I mean, he picked you of all people, right? Or it picked you of all people. It must,
Yes.
Maybe it likes your sassiness, you know? Your very direct nature when, you know, when there's nothing, when all your cards are on the table and there's no way to lie or cheat your way out of it, and you're just kind of flippant and brash. That could be an attractive quality to a thing like this. Or maybe there's some other characteristic of you that it wants, and it's just dealing with that. Do you have any sense of what this thing could be?
Ooh, I feel like it's. Oh, I think it's something that maybe it was like an old god that lived in this land. Now, is this in character or out of character?
Whatever, I don't care.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's like maybe an old god that, you know, kind of when Astair's sort of theocratic sort of totalitarian state was set up, was kind of maybe erased somewhat, and it's not very happy about that.
You know, like any person born in this era, you have an idea of who the 28 gods are in the sky, right? This creature clearly doesn't meet any description of them. So if there is some sort of like old deity or old god, it has long left the mindset of all people, all modern folk. No one would have any idea what the hell this is. So we must be talking about something incredibly ancient, like from before time itself even.
Yeah, like a primordial sort of force of nature, rather than even a sort of more, you know, god.
Cool. Well, we can work with that for now. We'll leave a lot of mystery on this and see where you get with it. And that'll wrap us up for today. So congratulations on your first session. Good job.
Yeah, that was absolutely brilliant. I really, really enjoyed pretty much every encounter there. That was great.
Excellent. Yeah. Then we will be back next week for Nick and Pokemon Challenges. I'm sorry, Greenzerg and Pokemon Challenges characters. That's going to be Captain John Winters and Archie B. Alder. So we will see you guys next week for that. PotatoMcWhiskey, anything to say before we go?
Thank you guys so much for watching, and I saw you guys trying to give me hints in chat. I appreciate it, because there was a couple of times I was stuck, and chat helped me out. I want to give a shout out to my boys.
Nice. All right, we're out. We will see you guys next time. Bye-bye, everyone.